And one other thought about that, when we talk about trauma-informed parenting, people who've had a lot of trauma in their childhoods, or the ACEs, the adverse childhood experiences, their more primitive centers of the brain, the amygdala, all of that, have been on heightened alert. There might be a vigilance there, or a hairpin kind of reactivity to things, right? Their buttons might get punched more easily, or they might just have a vigilance with them all the time because they had to. It was protective for them. So they're more sort of, amped up just normally in terms of their kind of their own regulation, emotional regulation. That impacts, how the person who has that past trauma is impacting with other people around them. It impacts how they're relating to other people around them. If you find that you want to speak more and you want to tell people things, right? Because there's something in you that's like, no, I've got something to say, like that urge, that might be a sign to take a step back and observe yourself a little bit more. And also another teaching in positive discipline is ask, don't tell. So, I was in a bad habit of telling my teenagers what to do, and that did not work. So I had to learn the skill of asking. And when you start asking, it's fascinating what happens. Because a lot of times the person you're asking the questions, they will figure it out themselves. They will self-correct. So that's a big transition for parents. Asking, not telling. We're doing so much telling. So I think sometimes that sensation of like kind of wanting to interject or speak up or, say something, you can feel that in your body. You can notice it in your behavior. For people that are coming from more traumatic backgrounds, you might feel a sense of bereftness, a sense even of emptiness, or really shut down inside. So I think some people, it just depends kind of what happened to you, your experiences growing up and what you've learned, what was modeled for you, how you were co-regulating with the people around you. There can be, for some people, a sense of like a cliff, that like, it's just feels awful. So alone, so alienated and just alone in this work, in these struggles. And an important teaching that is not a teaching of positive discipline, but it's a couple teaching. So it's not a parenting teaching, but it's more for couple support. It's from John and Julie Gottman. They're both psychologists. John Gottman, he's been a marriage researcher for, I think, about 40 years. He's at University of Washington, I believe it is. And it's a concept called turn towards. And it's referring to the fact that partners can, be together. They could spend a whole weekend together and not have a moment of intimacy. So you're in the same house. One of you is watching TV. The other might be, be on the computer. Somebody may watch a show late at night. Somebody else may take a bath. And you can go through this whole weekend and never really touch down with each other. You need to create connection with your spouse. You need to create that intimacy. And so turning towards, a lot of times when we feel at a loss with either the parenting struggles or maybe something at work, partners can get in the habit of turning away from their spouse or their partner. When you do that, you're starting to lay tracks down for that sort of continued behavior. It creates greater distance in the relationship over time. So this idea of turning towards, you have to start turning towards each other. And it can be really hard because you make yourself vulnerable. And your partner may not know how to be there for you when you're turning towards. You're trying to turn towards, but maybe they're saying something really stupid in the moment. So how can you turn towards them? So then you got to work through that stuff. So it's work. It's work. It's always going to be work to learn how to create better connections with your spouse, and certainly also our children. But this turning towards is a really important practice that we need to be doing with our partners. Wow, that's a good question. In my teen years, what are your biggest struggles right now? What are you not getting that you see around you? But I might want to do a lot of telling too. In my 20s, I might ask myself, what are you afraid of? What might your life be like if you don't go down this road? Because we really do come to these places, right, where we make choices and our life changes because of them. Yeah, I think probably always asking yourself, what is it that I want? What is it that I'm afraid of? What's holding me back? What can I do differently to make things better for myself and for the people around me? I think they'd be like, whoa, you did this? Are you kidding me? I would say, I had to give up some things, but I gained so much. And it isn't the things that we're taught in school to value and to treasure. Having a career is really important, and women do need to have careers, and we all need to have careers. And sometimes you might have to downshift, and that's a decision, that every family does have to make on their own, how they're going to do that, if they decide to do that. There's a lot of choices along the way that you can make, and I think, my younger self, my 20 self would just be like, I cannot believe you did this, and how did you do this? How did you do this? Yeah, and I would say I did it by keeping an open heart, keeping an open mind. I had to let go of a lot of stuff, a lot of fear, being able to tolerate your own fear, keeping your heart open to the possibilities, making yourself vulnerable, and courage.